What's up, everyone? This is Under the Show podcast episode 7, and it's me with my brother and co host Wyatt Stav. So it's been quite a while, bro. We had our last episode a month ago, I think. And how are you?
I'm good, man. You seem sleepy. Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, I need to make a coffee.
Yeah, you do. I'm good, dude. I'm great. I'm pumped to talk. So what's new in the last month?
Oh man, so much happened, and it's just every day is uh, a new load of things happen, and you know I shaved my head, I'm getting bald, and I went over 1000 subs, and I'm making my way to 2000, and it's just constant shooting, editing and more shooting, and I started a vlog, and it's just such a blast. What about you? You went to a lot of
Yeah, I want
drama.
to before we get to me, I want to talk about that big one right there. The fact that you start vlogging. How's that going?
Oh, it's not so. When I started, I was like, okay, it's super easy because you just talk whatever, and it's so random. You can produce so much videos, and yeah. But it seems that it's actually pretty hard because I thought that you just press the record button and you're like, okay, just start talking, and just go to random places or some cool places. But in fact, I spent like the whole day before that thinking what I'm gonna be saying and what my next content should be or what topic should it be on. And it's actually pretty hard, at least for me, to figure out what exactly to have in this video because I want my vlogs just everything like everything else to be interesting, to be well made. So yeah, I find it pretty hard.
Dude, so yeah, let's start with that. So I've definitely, I mean, you guys, all the listeners probably know, imagine at this point, I imagine everybody knows at this point the fact that I have a mentorship program because I've talked about it in other podcasts. So I deal one-on-one with a handful of content creators, and Dimitar, you're one of them. And I've had a lot of questions, and I've helped people try and figure out how to start vlogging. Now, vlogging is not something
Yep.
I've done a ton of. I'm very new to it as well. I've tried a bunch of times, and those vlogs have not made it to my channel for different reasons. But the one thing I always tell anybody looking to vlog is, and yeah, I mean, you're the one actually doing it, so you have much more credibility in discussing vlogging itself. But for me, it's just make sure the fucking camera's on. That's the thing is like you can always cut down on what you have to something special. Even if you have like an hour, 2 hours of junk, I guarantee you can find 10 entertaining minutes and you can get a monetized video up on YouTube from that. So that's the big thing is make sure the camera's on. Don't think too hard about is this going to matter later, and just keep the camera rolling because you never know what's going to happen. That's the point of the spontaneity in vlogging, right?
Yeah, totally. But at the same time, at least in my humble opinion, you need to, because you have an audience. Whatever the numbers are, whatever, the size of this audience, you have an audience and you have a responsibility to this audience. So you can just, in my opinion, you can just upload stuff and some random shit because if your vlogs are like 10 minutes vlogs and in these 10 minutes you say nothing new or nothing interesting or nothing funny, you just wasted 10 minutes of your people's time. And if you do this you know often enough, you might start losing them. And yeah.
So far, how have you gone about planning out your vlogs, and what have some of the ideas that have been? And more importantly, what are some ideas that didn't make it to actual production?
Well, what I think every time that when I start, because I don't want my vlogs to be like these daily types of vlogs. Hey guys, today we're drinking coffee at Starbucks, and you just ramble on for 10 minutes. What I usually do is I'm thinking beforehand of a general topic. Like my second episode was like be a better musician. So I just came come up with a title or with a topic which is pretty general in most of the situations, and I don't script my words. I don't write beforehand what I'm gonna say. I'm just thinking of a topic, and when I think of a topic, I will be like, okay, what would be a cool place which would give more to the story? What will be, will correspond to what will be corresponding to what I'm gonna say. So when I figure these two things, from then on, it's just what you say, press record and talk whatever I think on the spot, or you know something that happened that day, that week, the month before. But usually I just think of a topic which I think would, my audience would benefit from it, or will be at least interesting or funny.
Cool, man. And how has the vlogs gone so far? What was like? How many have you done? You've done.
It's two. I shot the third one today. Well, it's as expected. It doesn't have so much interest in it right now. It's actually quite low in views. But I start seeing in the comments here and there people actually being, asking questions which are pretty concrete questions, and um, starting to have more and more interest to it. And I'm super excited because I'm scrolling my YouTube Studio app daily, and as I can see, I made 68 cents, which I'm pretty happy about because I just made 68 cents, which with what I love, and it's it's nothing, but I'm so happy about it.
$2.13. I'll forever remember that number because that was my 68 cents. The first time in which I figured out that, hey, this is actually generating a little bit of money. And I logged into my AdSense account and I looked at how much was in there and I saw $2 and whatever I said, $2.13.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I fucking lost my mind. I called everybody I knew. I was like, "You're not gonna believe it. I made $2 on YouTube, dude. I made $2. Now it's my living, and it's like, okay, that is what it is. But that first amount, that first paycheck, dude, check this out. I worked from the time in which I had $2 in there. I noticed that the minimum amount you need to make to get a deposit into your account was $100. So I was 2% to $100, right? 2% to 100, and I had to get there to get them to pay me. And it took, I kid you not, it took I think a year and like 3 months or something. It took like a year and 3 months or something like that, or like at least a year. It was at least a year of grinding out videos until I got to the point where I got my first paycheck from Google. And when I got my first $100 from Google, I was fucking ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. That was the happiest $100 that I had ever been paid in my entire life. I could not believe that I was getting paid from YouTube, from Google, from like the platform that I'm trying to make a living on, or at least trying to bring to life to something that could maybe financially benefit me in the future. I did it, and I had $2 in the count, and then finally I got the 100. I was like, holy fuck, I got paid from YouTube. Oh my god, it's official. I'm a fucking YouTuber. Get out of my way.
Totally. And I'm pretty much in the same situation. It's not $100, but pretty much everyone I know and everybody who's supporting me, I'm just calling and I'm like, yo, 68 cents, which in my currency is like double, 1 point whatever. And some people are like, cool, that's awesome, and I'm like, yeah, it's happening. And one of my friends actually said, dude, you grinded a whole year for 60 cents, and I'm like, you don't see the picture, bro. It's like I made these 68 cents with my, it's all thanks because of to my work, to what I do. It's because people are watching me, and it's so nice. It was the same thing when I got my first patron, when I got Nick, and the first few months I didn't even fathom the idea that somebody is, supporting me in this way. And I was like, okay, yeah, he knows Wyatt. Yeah, he's a cool guy, but I guess this is just some, pity. Um, yeah, money. You're a cool guy, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For the first 2 or 3 months, and after that, because I started talking to Nick, and we're huge bros right now. I'm like, man, this shit is crazy. I mean, some dude from across the world is, supporting me, and he doesn't know me, but you know, it's so strange and so beautiful.
100%, dude. I remember when you got Nick as a patron, and all of your videos for the next little bit started with, "Yo, guys, I am so pumped. Thank you so much to my one and only patron, Nick." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, Dimitar!"
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. It's that's how it goes too. So here's how content, for everybody listening, here's how content creation in my mind works, is like, and this is what makes it so fucking hard. When you go to work, you put 8 hours in, you get your 8-hour paycheck, most of the time, most of us within 2 weeks, right? Bi-weekly, right? So depending on when you start the job, if depending on where it is in the pay period, most likely 2 to 3 weeks from when you started, every day that you put in that time is accounted for and you're paid out. The thing with content creation is that really, in order to make something really special, it can take 10 to 15 years of grinding. And it's all, the money that you make is a far, far lagging indicator of where your content is at. All right. And by lagging indicator, I mean, it's indicating how good your content is, but it's very far behind. Okay. So if you make $2.50, well, that $2.50 is you're getting paid for that for the first 2, 3, 4 videos that you made. Right. And let's say you have like I'm at 383 videos. Well, the first $2 that I made was off of my first 3 to 4 videos. Although at the time I was closing in on 100 videos. Right. And that's how it works. And that's the most discouraging part about content creation, whether we're talking about live Twitch streams, whether we're talking about an Instagram account, whether we're talking about influencing on Instagram, whether we're talking about a YouTube account, whether we're talking about being a band, right? It doesn't matter. It all comes down to the same sort of thing. And that's that it will come, and the proportion in which you put your effort into the project will be paid out. But it's a far, far lagging indicator. And you have to stick around for a really long time for that to happen. But most people go, oh, well, my 8-hour day job, it's not paying nearly as much as this could, but it's paying me, and this is not. And this is making it harder for me to go to work or whatever it is. And they're not willing to make that sacrifice. And that's the toughest part in the early years, is the fact that you have to go. I mean, I'm literally dealing with this. I mean, I'm streaming this podcast right now on my Twitch channel, and I'm literally dealing with this again on Twitch, where I'm starting at the very bottom. Yes, I have a little bit of a boost from the fact that I have 200,000 subs on YouTube that I can message and be like, hey, I'm live right now. But my numbers are still low, man. I do like 20 to 25 solid recurring viewers per Twitch stream. So for me right now, I'm in the early days, and fortunately enough for me, I don't get discouraged at all because I have that lesson, because I have that mindset. But it took a lot of fucking perseverance at first in YouTube in order to develop that and understand that. And then once you see it play out and you see the benefit that you reap down the line, then going into this, for me, my second endeavor coming onto Twitch, I know that it's around the corner. I just have to keep putting in the hours. I just have to keep getting up and doing it, even though some days it's going to suck. Some days it's going to be really difficult. Some days it's going to be really fucking sick. Some days it's going to be amazing. You're going to have amazing streams. You're going to make tons of money or whatever it is. You're going to have YouTube videos that pop off, and then some videos are going to flop, right? And that's all part of the public trial and error. And I've talked about that on this podcast a bunch. The public trial and error that is content creation, right? Because you need that real-time feedback. It's like when you're a comedy act, you go and you work your material by doing that in front of people to see what they laugh at. Well, you need to post videos and you need to stream live so you can see what people are going to engage you with you on. So you can take note of that and reform your content in a way that better suits your audience. Always stay true to you, but still make sure you're catering to your audience in a way that best gets across your message, your brand, and keeps them coming back, keeps content in their face that they're enjoying and they want to be a part of, right? So yeah, with all that said, what do you want to talk about?
Well,
should we do some questions maybe? Or
expand like 2 sentences more about what you said. You're totally right. And I was actually thinking earlier today before I went to bed and I overslept, what would be what would be the title of today's episode? Because it's not just numbers, I'm putting in titles. and I just look back at my week, at my month, which I don't know why, but 2020 hit me with a big lag, and the last month was like hell week in the SEAL training, and just every day more and more shit's going down, and um, this is exactly what I thought about, and I think I'm going to name this podcast "Make It Happen," because I was thinking that so many people get discouraged by this and that, and I get my Aaron Kitcher video actually is going pretty viral for my standards right now, and I'm getting hate by the trucks, like so much hate and so negative comments, and so many things happen in my personal life which are like roadblocks, and I'm so tired all the time because I'm doing in my job, it's pretty physical and stuff like this, and I was just thinking about that, and I was like, I don't care what's happening and what shit's going down. I'm going to make this. I just made 68 cents, and I'm going to do it even harder because now I can see that it's you know it's actually happening, and for my country, for my situation right now, and the situation in the world, nothing is promised to you and nothing is guaranteed, and even to be able to say, yo, I made $1 out of YouTube, this is huge, and this is what I wanted to, if anyone who's listening to us right now or whenever, and if you are thinking hard about starting to do something, or even worse, if you're thinking about giving up what you do for whatever reason you got, just don't. I mean, don't give up and just start. It's hard. It will be hard, and there are gonna be days that you are going to even question if it's worth it. Believe me, it is. Today I shot like my biggest reaction ever, which I mean in biggest I mean in like it was 25 minutes or something. It was of a drummer that I really love, and it's one of my idols, and I just wanted to make a video where I do my best to analyze and explain his playstyle, both for me and for my audience, because I think it's just interesting, and for somebody who's trying to be better and who's striving to be a good drummer, it's some useful shit. And as I stopped filming, I went to edit it because I wanted to upload it right away. And first, what I noticed is I forgot to set my autofocus on the camera to be actually auto. It was on manual the whole time, and I was so out of focus, like you couldn't see my eyes, and I'm like, man. And then I was like, okay, well, this is 25 minutes, so I'm not gonna redo this. It is what it is. And after that, I see that in OBS, the software that I use to record my screen, I forgot to record audio. It's just video, and I'm pausing so much during the video, I can't just re-upload it. And yeah, I got pretty upset, and I'll probably have to reshoot it. But I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this today because I'm pretty baked, but I'm gonna do this tomorrow, and this doesn't discourage me. So whatever, or
What do you mean by baked? Do you mean wiped out, or you mean high? You should
no,
clarify that, because I think I know what you mean, but here it means something else.
no, okay, baked, or cooked, I mean
Overworked, tired.
overwork, exhausted, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody in chat just went, "Oh, edibles, hello."
No.
Word, dude. We didn't get any questions. Let's just punch back in.
All right. So yeah, even this what we're doing right now, because as I said, I'm gonna name this "Make It Happen." So doing this, you're going to have to do stuff which is not natural to you. It's not natural to your being, and it's not natural to your, biological body. I mean, today I worked for 14 hours, and as I said, I'm baked. I'm exhausted. Um, but I really want to do this, and I'm not saying this at all to say that Wyatt is a bad man who's making me to wake up in the middle of the night. No, that's totally my choice. But I want this. I want to have this podcast, and it's important to me. So I will do whatever it takes. I will sleep around it. I will work around it. Um, but I'm gonna make it happen. And if I had to wake up, it's 2, 3 a.m. I would do it again. So you'll have to make a lot of sacrifices, and you're going to have to um, be used to living on a schedule, and your the alarms on your iPhone and timer and whatever would be your best friend, because you reach a point where when I started, I had so much free time, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take 2 hours here, 2 hours there. I'll have 6 more, and gradually over 1 year, now I have no free time, and whatever it needs to happen, I need to I need to rip off these 2 hours or these 3 hours from something else that I'm doing. So I start to prioritize. I have my notebook where I write stuff because I forget, and my phone has like 12 alarms for different stuff. And actually, yesterday I went on a date, which proved to be pretty boring, and it was just a waste of time. And I was so pissed because I was like, man, I could edit a whole video,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is becoming more of a recurring theme where even when I go out with people, I just make my calculations if it's actually worth it, or I can use this time to build my dream. And I don't know if this is a nice thing to do, because I start to put priorities over people in my life, and I'm like, are you worth my time? Or I can just say, no man, I'm busy, so I can actually use this time better.
Yeah, that's interesting to talk about. I like that. We need something to, make this episode specific. I think we should talk about that, as like, where do you draw the line, and what sacrifices do you make? Because what you're saying is the truth. Like, in order to be great at anything, you have to sacrifice everything else. And like, that's just the nature of it. It's like you have to kind of become very. We've talked about this a bunch in other episodes, so I don't want to repeat a lot of that, because if you're listening in order, then we've already covered this for you. But the idea is you become one very monodimensional, because you have to cast everything out. When people are partying, you're not. When people are sleeping, you're not. When people are going on dates, you're not. When people are going to the movies, you are not. And that's what you have to do to get anywhere in most content creation, most forms of content creation. And if you look at the greats, 9 times out of 10, it's something along those lines. No one really does anything incredible without truly sacrificing everything else. So where do you draw the line, and how do you choose what matters, and how do you choose what doesn't, and then how do you also recover? Because that lifestyle takes a fucking hit on you. The big thing for me was the mind games. When I was at the height of grinding, and no one knew my name yet, not a single person was watching my videos, and I was trying to figure out, how the fuck am I going to get anybody to care? I was waking up. Are we getting into some real shit right now? Love it. No, we're taping a podcast. Mark that timestamp. You can edit that out.
Sure.
When I was at the height of my grinding, I was going to the mall, but I was waking up at 12 midnight. Like, I'd wake up at 12 midnight, and I would wake up for an hour. So I'd drink some coffee, maybe have a pre-workout, maybe watch some streams on Twitch, maybe even play a little bit of World of Warcraft in the morning, just to wake myself up, right? Morning, 12 midnight.
Nothing wakes you up like a quick raid.
Exactly. Nothing wakes you up like a video game real quick, right? So yeah, I would spend the first morning, usually back then actually, shout out to Wreckful, too bad he's dead, but I spent the first morning of 3 years in a row watching Wreckful, usually because he was online at the time that I was getting up. I'd watch Wreckful for an hour, play World of Warcraft, and maybe even just sit there and answer some emails or whatever, shoot the shit for an hour. And then at 1 a.m. I would start it. It would be it would be grind time. I would start with the kit, 2 to 3 hours at the kit. Then after that, I would hit the weights, cardio, weights, some yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I'd be wrapping up all that, I'd be headed to work. I would get dressed and head to work for a 7 a.m. start and work from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then at 3:30, I'd race home to get back to my house for 4 p.m. And if I fell asleep right around 4, right around 5, that was 7 to 8 hours between 4 or 5 to midnight. So I got minimum 7-ish. Some days it was hard to get to bed, so I'd be up till 5, 6, and then it became 6 hours, which is tough. But that was my schedule for the better part of 3 years, and I had to play a lot of tricks on myself. I had to really, and it gets dangerous. This gets dangerous. The mindset that you have to employ, those tricks, those things, those layers of your personality, they don't just go away when you get done with it. And that's a battle that I'm still struggling with, is in order to warp yourself into somebody who can tolerate that sort of punishment, you have to really change the facet of your own personality to somebody that, and at the time for me, was going into the back room, was throwing on the metal music and was grinding. And anytime something came up that was a distraction, something that came up that, oh, tonight my buddy invited me to the movies, but if I do that, I will not be able to get up at midnight tonight. Well, those moments of temptation and distraction, those moments are the times in which I had to brainwash myself out of it, And how do you do that? Well, I focused on the outcome. That's all I did, is when I got invited to something and I had to say no because I wanted to do this more, I wanted to end up being a professional YouTuber, content creator, what I do now for a living, I had to remind myself of what is at the end of this. And you have to remind yourself in a way that you have unwavering faith. You have to believe in it. Beyond all else, absolute obsession, 100% faith, unwillingness to falter. Okay, that's the mindset, and keeping that mindset straight can be dangerous, and it's very difficult. But you have to play tricks on yourself. And what I would do was I would just, the number one first thing that I would do at all times is I'd have some kind of crazy, stupid quote as my wallpaper on my phone. Like one of the ones that I had on my phone for years was, and when I went to check a message, this is what I would read before I opened my phone.
Oh yeah, brother.
Yeah, what I would read was, one of the big ones for me was a saying from the Navy SEALs, and that is, anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Stick to it. So that was the foundation. That was the bedrock of what I lived by at the time. And then another one that everyone saw on Tumblr back in the day that I liked a lot, that I kept with, was life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So, feel the discomfort, that's what what I went through. My life really got really, really good after 4 or 5 years of absolute punishment that I put myself through. Now, punishment is relative. I'm sure there's people listening to this podcast that go, dude, I've been through way more than you. You're a fucking little child compared to me. And that's fine. It's completely relative, right? And then there's some people that I say what I just said to, and they go, holy fuck, I could never do that. So it's completely relative and perspective based. And that fact onto itself can be freeing. Right? Because if you can understand that what you're going through to some people is a joke, it's easy, it's a walk in the park. Well, where are those people? Look at where they are, understand that they can do this and you can't. Well, look at the success level that they got to. And then play that into your own framework, right? An example of that is I would go to work. When I was at work, I would listen to podcasts by guys like David Goggins, and I would listen to him talk about how his first 100-mile race, his ultra marathon, he did without ever running a marathon, and he
with broken legs.
Yeah, with broken legs, and he hospitalized himself. He couldn't walk off the field. He physically like shit all down his legs trying to finish this. His feet were cracked open and bleeding by the time he got done. So you listen to stories like that, and then you're out for your own run and you're thinking like, God damn, dude, I can't even complete 3-4 miles. What the fuck is wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? So it's all perspective based, because there'll be people who listen to this who'll go, you fucking pussy. And then the other's contrary, the people will go, wow, you're incredible. No, it's just perspective based. It's just what you've gone through in comparison to people who are at a higher level and what they've gone through. And figuring that out is another part. It's another facet to the journey, because you have to study those around you so that you can use their cookie jar in your own mind tricks, in your own personal, whatever it is that you set up around you to keep you faithful to that schedule that you have in place that's working, that's getting results. You have to figure those things out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, the thing with having a wallpaper with a quote is is a thing. Actually, I have my phone, and it's too bad I just can't live screenshot it and show it to you, because the second you said it, I started laughing off the mic, because my wallpaper says, "Nobody cares, work harder." And
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm a huge fan of Jocko Willing, and I'm listening to his podcast all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually, I think it's his quote, but whatever, it's so relevant, because there are days where, just some trivial shit like my lower back hurts, or oh, I lost this amount of money on something that I broke, and just because I wasn't careful enough, so now I need to buy the same thing, because whatever, I broke my one of my mics, because I just sit on it, or I'm sick, I'm something bad happens in the family, and you just get discouraged more and more, and the last in some cases, the last thing that you're thinking about is your content, because life happens, and it's not always happening for the happy part. And in times like these, I just look at my phone, and this is really refreshing, because if you look from the side, not from your point of view, but like with more global view, nobody cares, bro. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry that this happened to you, but nobody cares. And in the end of the day, did you do your part today? Did you put in the hours towards your goal? And what you said about focusing and prioritizing, uh, so far I have encapsulated myself in this tunnel vision, which is so strong right now. I mean, because here in Bulgaria we have the full 4 seasons. For anybody out there who has eternal summer, um, we have full 4 seasons, and when summer comes, it's something like just a national tradition to go to the seaside for a week or two, and it's just like a no-brainer. It's the default. It's summer. Okay, when are you going to go to the sea? And everybody's just thinking about it, when their vacation would be, and people would be like, "Yo, did you go to the sea this year?" And I was like, "No, I haven't gone to the sea like for 2 or 3 years." And like, "Man, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Working." And somebody's going off to um, 2, 3, 4, 5 times per year, on vacations, and people are posting all these pictures from the neighboring countries and cool places. And just like in a sitcom, in a movie, the camera would just back up a little bit from my phone, and I will be in my studio just scrolling through Instagram while I'm resting, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, this guy went on a vacation," and meanwhile I'm working my ass off. And you gotta get used to this. And so far, I don't even care anymore. I don't care. I don't want to go on a vacation, because every day that's passing, and the more I progress, I start living my dream life. And every day I start reminding myself why I'm doing this. So when people ask me, "But you need some rest, you need some," no, I don't. I mean, I might need a physical rest. I might need to take a day off just to clear my mind. But I fucking love this. And it seems to be pretty hard for people to understand this, because um, if I need to sacrifice 4 hours of sleep every day just to feel this this high from seeing 68 cents, I would sacrifice not 4. I'll sacrifice the full 8 hours of sleep. You know, and you're so fucking right that it gets dangerous. It gets dangerous for your mental health, for your physical health, because especially in days, because sleep is a huge thing for me. I mean, I can go without food, I can go without water, I can beat my body up on the workout, but I can't cope well without sleep, with the loss of sleep. And when there are several days in a row where I sleep 4 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, stuff like that, uh, and I start to feel like shit pretty quickly. And actually, today is my third or fourth day that I didn't sleep well, didn't sleep enough, and this is why actually I fell asleep before this podcast, because I was so exhausted, and stuff like working out, this is non-negotiable. Stuff like filming, playing drums, non-negotiable. It's just, they happen. Whether I feel it or not, they happen. And just like your schedule, every morning when I wake up, I go to workout, I go to my 8-hour job, I film, I edit, and if I have time, I eat, sleep, socialize, whatever. And it could be dangerous, and you gotta monitor yourself daily, because it happens, you know it, because you're burning yourself out pretty quickly, and pretty much because you're just going so hard. And you gotta monitor yourself, and if you start feeling burnt out, just take a day break, but don't ever stop doing what you're doing. And I think you can actually say a lot more than me on this topic, because I know that recently you got pretty hard burned out.
Yeah, my burnout at this point though is like I would compare my life to how it used to be now as like I'm like a pudgy kid in a bulk barn just eating candy out of the fucking bins, to be honest. Like that's how it feels like now in comparison to like the things I have to do in the past to make like just ends meet, you know what I mean? So for me, burnout's like it goes back to perspective based, right? But it's fucking awesome that I feel like a kid in a candy shop now, because for the better part of 15 years it was not that good, you know.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it was fine, it was whatever it was, you know, and most of the pain was self-inflicted so that I could get to this point, you know. Like I'm my own boss, and there was so many times over the course of this summer where, you know, you couldn't go to the beach, but after 15 years of grinding, I simply was like, you know what, today we're not going to work, fuck it, let's go to the beach. And I could do that, and no one would get upset, you know. No one would be like, why'd you blow off work, you know. There would be no pay loss, there'd be no issues, no repercussions of any kind. I could do whatever the fuck I want, and it's because I paid the time so that I could have the freedom now, you know. So yeah, to talk to burnout from my perspective now, it's not the same thing as what you're going through, you know. It's a different type of burnout now. Now it's more so that like now what I've done, I did an interview with Thriving Rockstar, in which I talked about how I had to go through a phase. I would say I went through a phase probably even earlier this year, you know, probably like around January. I would say between October and January of like 2019 going into 2020. I went through this phase where I was doing a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out exactly who I was and what I am and what I want to do like going forward, like long term. I obviously know what I want to do, but doing it like the specifics involved, right? And I did a lot of soul searching from the standpoint as well as like looking inward at what I've become because of what I put myself through, you know. And in that process, in those 4 months or so, you know, smoke a lot of weed, you know, I figured out a lot about myself and the creative process. And I said in that interview with Thriving Rockstar that now my creativity is fostered from a different place, where in the past it used to be like drill sergeant regiment type work. And that made it so that within a box I could operate on certain things, but I didn't have true free creativity, you know, because I was sort of I was doing things that I could do even though I didn't have sleep, even though I like there was no real creativity involved. You know, like learning a song, there's a formula to it. Making a lesson video, there's a formula to it. And I would do those things on formula, on command when I needed to, no matter how tired I was. But I wanted to change. I wanted to go and do different things that required true creativity. And in order to get my life back, get myself back, I had to back off the gas, you know? And so now I operate at a different level in which I used to. I don't know if it long term is going to work out. I'll let you guys know, you know, stay tuned to the podcast. But now burnout for me is a different type of burnout. And it's not what it used to be. It's not the physical drain. It's like something more than that. Not more as in the standpoint of greater than, but different than, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, even in the last couple of weeks, is just how fucking important it is to take time away from your instrument. Like, whatever your true focus is, if you feel for 1 second, like, you know what, this is starting to feel like a job and you don't love it anymore. Well, if you're grinding, then shut the fuck up and keep grinding. But if you're past that, you know, but if you're past that, then what I recommend is what Luke Holland talked about in an interview that he did on YouTube, not an interview, but a Q&A that he did on YouTube Live a couple months ago, which is he said, when he's stuck, the thing he does, and I asked the question, I asked him, what do you do to get over hurdles in your playing career? And he says, when he's stuck now, what he does is he takes time off. If he's stuck and he feels like he's not getting anywhere, he'll take 3 weeks off the kit and just go do other things. Just whatever it is, like movies, friends, you know, whatever it is. So my definition of burnout and my recovery now is very different than what it used to be back in the day. Because back in the day, I wouldn't allow myself to get burnt out. It was like, you know, when you're a Navy SEAL, you don't stop, you know. Or, I mean, I'm not claiming that I'm at that level, but I was trying to emulate the self-discipline that high-functioning individuals like Navy SEALs or anybody at that level sort of exonerate. And I obviously wasn't at that level, but I was trying to live by that kind of discipline. And I think that what I'm going through now in comparison to back then is like, it's very different. They're different things, I would say.
Yeah, totally. And that actually, knowing that you're, you know, the discipline and knowing about all the sacrifices you have to make, small and big, daily, it at least for me, it works in this way. It makes me a little cocky in some situations, because, you know, when I started, yeah, and this is, you know, the general story that happens to every creator. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but yeah, when I started, everybody was, you know, was laughing, everybody was joking, and whenever I went into a room, my colleagues or my friends would be like, "Yo, look who we got, our influencer, our vlogger, whatever," and they would just, you know, joke and banter for the next 10 minutes. But now, when things are starting to happen, and keep in mind that Bulgaria is like 6 million. This is the whole country. It's like not even a New York, and like 1,000 subs here are the equivalent of like I don't know, 10 or 50,000 subs in America or in Canada. And having, you know, what I reach here is by no means something big, but it's something. And musicians and the social circle of, you know, musicians here is even smaller. So you can imagine that in the capital, in Sofia, there would be like, I don't know, like 4,000 to 5,000 musicians in our genre. And having, you know, 1,000 subs, 1.4K is something. And people start to know you and to know your videos. So now I start getting all kinds of, you know, requests, friend requests and messages. Yo, bro, can you shout me out? Can you want to do a collab and stuff like this? And the other day, some dude just texted me and was like, yo, I like your videos. You know, I like both you and Wyatt, yada, yada, yada. And I was like genuinely happy and thankful to this guy until he said, I want to do the same thing. And I was like, cool, bro, that's awesome. and he was like, okay, teach me. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, teach me how to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can definitely help you. I can, if you're willing to, the same thing that I did. If you want to become my patron and get into my community, and we can talk daily on this stuff. And I'm actually stealing a lot of your approach to the patrons, Wyatt, and I hope you don't mind. And yeah, I just such a friendly manner said, okay, that's great, but time is valuable, time is money. So yeah, this is my Patreon. You can do this. I'll be happy to help. And he was like, oh no, I mean, give me some tips. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. What do you mean, give me some tips? Start doing it. And we got to the point where he was, getting salty because he wanted this all this for free. He wanted the quick fix, the magic pill for free. And I was like, man, you don't know what it takes, and you don't know what my sometimes emotional state is because of all this. And you're asking me to just give it all to you, and to
Dude, you should have said yes. Did you? You did, right? You said you stole my Patreon model.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is like, I had enough people hitting me up going like, can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how to do that? Can you show me how to do this? I was like, all right, it's about time I got paid for all this shit that I had to grind for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what started my master's program, and that's how you and I met. Is you came
Absolutely.
to me through
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's what you gotta start doing. I mean, if you're good enough, if you know how to do something, never give it away for free. So.
Absolutely. And it's so I don't know. It's not annoying, but it's so strange and irritating how people think that. I mean, knowledge is probably the most valuable thing out there, and and I would argue that is the most important. So, in for a fact, you've been working for like what, 15 years in order to get here.
Yeah, about that. I'd say 10. I'd say 10.
Okay, 10.
Yeah, well, 11. I started at 14. I made the decision at 14. This was what I was going to do.
All right, 11. So you worked your ass off for 11 years, and only through what you've been through, all the goods, all the bads, the lessons learned, the means that you had to apply, and all the sacrifices. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. This is 11 years, and it's so insulting for anybody to come and say, hey, teach me all this.
Why though? You
for
seem
free.
Pissed. Okay, let's back up. Did this guy talk shit on you, and now he's asking for help? Is that what it is? Because you seem so upset that he would have the audacity to ask for help. What is it? Is that what it was? Was he one of the guys in the cafeteria making fun of you? It was like, oh, here comes the vlogger, and then you get big, and now it's like, can you show me how to do that, please?
Well, yeah, kinda. Well, I'm not pissed that he's asking for help. I'm pissed that, well, and it's not him specifically. I mean, I have nothing against this guy, but it's like a theme, and I'm pissed because while you're working, people will be joking and making not so friendly comments about something, and when you get there, when you learn something, then they're trying to get this knowledge free, without working, without anything. Just I don't mean free in terms of money. I mean free in terms of everything. Laziness.
Yeah. I get what you're saying in that standpoint, and you'll see that a lot. Like, even going back to, that's the third time I brought it up. I'm not trying to plug. It's just part of the conversation. Even going back to with my program, there's a lot of people that come into it that I don't see for very long. you know, because once I peel back the shades with somebody, and I'm ruthless with it, I'll tell you, like, okay, you want to do this? Here's how you do it. And then I'll pull
Oh,
back
I
the curtain
know.
and I'll
I
go,
know.
look at that. Are you going to do that? Can you take that? You know, like, and I've done that with so many people and literally never heard from them again. And like that cuts on my losses, but I'm not going to fucking lie to you, you know? So yeah, I mean, that's part of it too, is like, feel like you're just you're kind of explaining that's kind of like he doesn't have what it takes, I guess, or something, right?
Well, yeah, because
I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
well, yeah, even if his, fuck him. But yeah, usually people who and this doesn't go back to not knowing or not being familiar with what it would take in order to achieve something. Usually it's people that they either know or they're kind of aware that they don't have what it takes in terms of what you said, perseverance and patience and
Yeah.
just being able to withstand the constant shitstorm that's going to happen around you. And
Yeah.
they know that, or they feel it at least.
No, I don't know. I would disagree with you slightly on that last statement. I don't think most know. I think there's a lot, like I've come across a lot of people that I've worked with in the music industry that they truly do think that they mean it, but they don't really know what it means to really want what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think that it's honestly like where do you fucking learn these things? You don't. No one in school ever teaches anybody any of this.
It's
Like you get out of
yeah.
you can get out of university and have like skills, but without the overall picture and the all-encompassing knowledge of how to apply those and put them to work towards something, you're just going to end up working for somebody else the rest of your life and building someone else's dream. Because it's you can't learning these concepts, these principles that we talk about on this podcast, and the things that we implement in our lives in order to be able to do what we do. It's very like, unless you have a strong mentor in your life. Like I was blessed enough to be born in the family that I was born into with nothing but entrepreneurs and business owners. So for me, it was like from the get-go, I was destined to not work for a company. I was going to figure out how to, do my own thing. Right. And like everybody in my life growing up, like there was never the thought of like getting a regular job, like my mindset out the gate was never go to school and get a 9-to-5. That was like not even close to where I was destined in my own head, because nobody around me was doing that. Right. My dad works for himself. My mom works for himself. The two of them own a company and then other companies, so it's, for me, it's like, I don't know. If you don't have exposure to that kind of stuff, like the world around you can brainwash you into a certain path pretty fucking quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's my case. I mean, my surroundings and my family. Actually, I have no one in my family who has a company or who's working for himself. They're all, 9 to 5, 40 years, die of old age and exhaustion. And I'm pretty much the first one to try this, and I got so much, well, I wouldn't call it backlash because, it's my mom and dad, but I would get so, in the initial stages, so much of them holding me down, like, are you sure? I mean, you're 25, and, you should be thinking about, kids and stuff by now, and I'm like, no. I mean, I'm gonna change my life. And I had to first I had to go through this in my head, because when you don't have these kind of surroundings and when you don't have firsthand an example you can follow, it could get pretty scary. And after that, I had to get through their blocks as well. And right now, everybody's fine with what I'm doing, where I'm going. But at first, it was kind of pretty bumpy road.
Got you, dude. Okay, well, I mean, that's been an hour. We all set to wrap here on this episode?
Sure, yeah. We didn't get a single question.
No, I didn't get a single question. My Twitch audience is a bunch of gamers, dude. They don't care about any of this shit. We did the PlayStation 5. Sony had an announcement, or they had an event for the announcement of the release date of the console and the price and all that stuff at 4. So then the podcast started at 5. So I had the stream on for that at 3:30. And we just all hung out watching the games, and then I'm like, okay, now complete change of pace. Let's jump into a motivational, content creator focused entrepreneurial podcast with Dimitar, who just fucking woke up because he slept through the start of it.
Yeah. Well, I want the PlayStation so bad, man, and I'm a huge PlayStation fanboy. But actually, I was thinking about it recently. Like some months ago, like the beginning of the year, I was like, hell yeah, this year we'll get PlayStation 5. I'm super stoked, whatever. But now I'm like, man, I don't have the time for this. Or at least for the next 2 or 3 years, I won't have a single minute to play on the PlayStation. And I want it so bad. But
dude,
yeah.
I told myself for so damn long that all the hours I put in one day, I'm not going to have to. And I hit that point now, and so I'm going to be getting that PS5 the day one, bro. And I'll be streaming all the games. But then 3-4 years down the line, the PlayStation 6 will drop, and you'll be in the same position I am, and you and I can stream together, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Before we close out, I have one question for you, and it's going to be just for people, a quick sneak peek of Masters, sessions. But
jeez.
No, it's gonna be more general question. Have you ever encountered, and how did you deal with that? Whenever, let's say, we're talking about the PlayStation 5 or any other pleasant activity besides playing drums and doing your thing, where you're like, man, if I spend 2 hours like playing on the PlayStation 5, I would do so much in these 2 hours, and this is constantly in your head. Are you thinking about this now? Have you thought about this? Like whatever happens or whatever somebody invites you to do, and you're like constantly thinking, man, should I be doing this? Because for this amount of time I could do this or that. Or do you ever feel like you're losing on your work?
Yeah. That's a fantastic question, and I think everybody in chat is going to appreciate this answer. Here's how it works in my head. Check this out. So the reason why, and I'm going to go back a sec, because I feel like what I said about my ability to take time for myself now was kind of arrogant. The reason why I made that statement, and I said that when you get to where I'm at, you can take a breath, is very, very simple. The reason why it comes down to this alone. My side hustle became my main hustle. Okay. So instead of going to the mall and working 8 hours in a stock room and then having to figure out how to put 8 hours into the drum set on the side of that, like either 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening, well, that's 16 hours. We did 8 hours at the kit, we did 8 hours at the work, and now what's left in your day? You're going to sleep. That's the reason, is because once you get to the point where whatever your side hustle is generating, and I literally remember the day, December 14th, 2018, my side hustle, my YouTube revenue started to match my working at the mall for other people revenue. And the moment it did, I was able to stop the mall shit and stop going to work, and I could take a breath. Why? Because now instead of getting up at 2 a.m. to go to work at 9 to 5 and get those hours in before work, I can get up at 9 and start work and finish at 5, right? Because my work now, my side hustle, building my dream, I can still spend 8 hours a day on, but now I get 8 hours a day to do whatever the fuck I want. And in my world right now, that includes streaming on Twitch. It includes buying PlayStations. It includes fucking laying in bed with Lindsay and watching movies and doing all these things that if I had a regular 9 to 5, I would, and that was like my career, like if I'm like a career guy, if I'm like a doctor and I'm going to work for 8 hours or 9 hours, I get off and I can go home and I can relax with my family and chill and all that kind of stuff. That's the same position I'm in now because the side hustle overtook the main hustle. Now, it's so important that I picked a side hustle that didn't have a cap, right? Because in the main hustle, I'm on a fixed income. Therefore, it's only ever going to be X amount of dollars unless I go to school and get training and then start to raise the ranks. But that's going to that's not me. So I picked a side hustle that doesn't have a ceiling. So I can just keep pushing at it 8 hours a day and watch the dollars keep moving up. And without the fixed income, I don't have to make huge plans for the future because I have a direct correlation with this is what I do for a living. These are all of the revenue streams. And I can push at those revenue streams on times where I need some extra funds to make big purchases or whatever it is. I can push hard on those, make the money I need to make, and then back off the gas. And still, even pushing hard at those, maybe my 8-hour shift turns into a 10-hour shift, but I still have, if I go for 10 hours, I still have 6 hours in my day that I'm going to be awake to do whatever I want. So that's what it is right there. It's not about reaching a level in which you achieve fame and fortune beyond your wildest dreams and you can just quit all your fucking engagements and do whatever the fuck you want, play lots of PlayStation 5 and whatever, right? It's not about that. The goal for me was always the same, and it still is the same. I just wanted to get to the point where instead of clocking in for somebody else, I was clocking in for myself, and then I didn't have to burn so much time on the side hustle because the side hustle became the main hustle. And now I'm privileged enough to use Twitch as the side hustle to the main hustle, which is the craziest fucking thing in the world. Like, I'm so blown away that I've been able to get to this point, and I'm going to keep pushing. But that's the big like nuance to this, is like, it's not about the fame fortune. It's just getting whatever you're doing on the side to equal. And for me, it was actually a super low amount because I was already just getting by on minimum wage. So I just had to get my side hustle to the point where I was making equal to minimum wage. And the second it equaled to minimum wage, I was like, later, bitch, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the secret. That's the reason why, is because if you can get the side hustle, then you're not burning any time. You're putting in the exact amount of hours that you've been this entire time, but you're doing it in a way that you now have some free time for living a life. And that's it's like, see, that's the thing for me, is like going into the future from here, I'm only ever going to put 8 to 10 hours in a day. I mean, I was putting 16 in the last little bit because of the Modern Drummer cover and the amount of work that. But, you know, usually I'm 8 to 10 hours on the job, and I can take 6 hours to breathe every day when I'm working. Right now I'm on vacation, but that's how it usually goes. And because of that, now I can push into the future, and I can always have balance in my life. So all of this crazy shit that we've talked about through this episode about, you know, the crazy grind I had waking up at midnight and all of this stuff, all of this is just to get you to the point where your side becomes your main, and then you can back off the gas if you so choose, because your output is still the exact same, you know, but you're doing something that doesn't have a cap. There's no fixed income. It's as high as you want to push it. You just put in the effort, and it'll keep going up, the amount of in which you bring in each month or year or whatever the case may be, in which you are monitoring your own income. So that's the question, is no, I don't feel bad. This is the simple answer for you. No, I don't feel bad, because I never took away from the amount of hours in a day in which I spend at the kit or spend focusing on my content. So
yeah, that's a great answer, bro. And it's a great sentence to to close the podcast. Yeah, I'm pretty much, I mean, I can talk for another 5 hours, but I doubt that anybody's gonna listen to us that long.
Plus, then we'll have nothing for next week.
Yeah. So, besides what you just said, if you've got any other closing words, if you want to, you know.
No, man, I'm totally good. I think that's a really great place to end, is that kind of focus. Because when, you know, even just, I can see my chat even talking about what I just said, even just thinking about it as simply as I just put it, you know, work minimum wage and let the side hustle take over the main hustle. If you can do that, the minimum wage automatically is going to bring the dollar amount in which you're shooting for on the side hustle down to a manageable point. You no longer have to get to the point of fucking Machine Gun Kelly, or in my scene, Luke Holland, or whatever, some crazy fucking name, to like, it's no longer some crazy dream in Hollywood with fucking stars on the sidewalk and shit, you know, like it's just manageable. It's just minimum wage. If we can just get it to that, then we can take some time to relax and keep building it. So I don't know. And now I'm just repeating myself. And on that note, I think we should call it. And I'm going to take a quick break before I get into some video games here with my chat.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody. If you're still listening to us, this was Under the Shell 7. And hopefully, if nothing bad happens, we're going to do 8 next week. And yeah, with that said, we're closing in. Thank you very much, brother, for being with me. And I'll talk to you again this week, I guess.
Tomorrow, right? We're doing the same time tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow because we have master sessions.